Let's get more on this now by speaking live to Emergency Management Minister Kristy McBain. She joins us now. Kristy, we've seen some shocking images this week and people trying to put it into context. How large has been the scale of the disaster, in your opinion?
Well, good morning. It's good to be with you. Obviously, we've had some sustained rainfall events right across the mid-north coast, as well as the entire Hunter region moving down towards the central coast. We've got a number of watch and act alerts in place, but obviously still a number of minor and major flooding alerts as well. I was on the ground over the last couple of days in the Hunter region, and the impact is quite widespread. I've visited communities via SES boats who have been cut off. And it's really important, I think, that we continue to get that resupply effort going. And there was a national coordination mechanism meeting held yesterday with essential providers, including electricity companies, telcos and supermarkets, to ensure that we can get supply up, whatever that is, whether that's telecommunications, electricity or food and water, as soon as possible.
Yeah, how difficult are the conditions on the ground from what you've seen?
Oh, look, we weren't able to get further north into Kempsey or Taree, and I'll be there early next week. But, conditions, are difficult. There are a number of communities that are used to these flooding events and knew that parts of their community may be cut off. But there are a number of new residents, and we've heard directly from local councils on the ground that this flood sort of acted a little bit differently than previous floods as well. So I think post the disaster, there'll probably be some, more modelling done on flooding impacts across different parts of the communities.
Why does that modelling need to be done? What lessons can be learned?
There's a range of flood modelling that's already available to local councils, and they usually do a whole range of their plans on that. I think it's important, though, as we are seeing more disasters become more frequent and more intense, that we make sure we're keeping up with the science, particularly the modelling around floods. So, we'll move into that sort of recovery phase and lessons learned when we're out of this initial response phase. At this point in time, our focus is definitely on the immediate response.
Did people heed warnings enough?
Look, it's really important that people do heed the emergency warnings, download the Hazards Near Me app, or, listen to your broadcasting channels for those emergency warnings. But it is really important that we continue to check in on people. It's important that when you get a warning, though, that we act on it quickly. It's almost too late by the time you see the water at the front of your driveway. So it's really important that those warnings are acted on quickly as well.
Yeah, and we heard horrible stories about people calling in for help and emergency services admitting they couldn't physically get to people in time. Obviously, those were few and isolated cases. But what would you like to say about how hard the emergency services have been working over the last few days?
There's over 2,500 emergency service personnel on the ground at this point in time, and they're doing an amazing job with the resources that they have. We've seen over 700 rescues via boats, a number of rescues by our helicopter and aviation efforts. These guys do such a fantastic job when other Australians are worried about their own safety. We've got personnel that are putting their own safety on the line to help others. So, we've said it multiple times that, in a disaster, it really does bring out the best of the Australian character. And I want to thank those service personnel that have come from all parts of New South Wales into this disaster zone. And we've now got deployments of emergency personnel coming from Victoria and the ACT as well. So this has been a real team effort. And the three levels of government have been collaborating since before the heavy rain started. So I've had a number of discussions, was on the ground with the Emergency Services Minister Jihad Dib in the area over the last 2 days. Obviously, we had the Premier and the Prime Minister there yesterday as well. So it's really important, I think, that those levels of collaboration continue for the benefit of our local communities.
And finally, from me, is the money there to help people get back on their feet?
We've now enacted the disaster recovery funding arrangements for 19 local council areas. That's jointly funded by New South Wales and the Commonwealth. That ensures that council can immediately respond to things and make sure that their assets are taken care of in the longer term. There's a range of grants available for people to purchase essential items, and there's a range of assistance for small businesses and primary producers. We've enacted the disaster recovery allowance for 4 LGAs, which is income support for people that have been cut off from employment or their employment has been directly impacted. And we'll continue to assess any other calls for assistance once we get more advice and evidence on the ground. We know there are a number of SES assessors going in today to really look at what that scale is now that the rain has stopped, and we are hoping that that water starts to recede. So as soon as those assessments are done, if there are any other requests for assistance, we'll continue to work with New South Wales on it.
Okay, Kristy McBain, thanks for your time this morning. We really appreciate it.